this is Brendan Watson from Watto Training, and this is a tutorial about the introduction to the QSafe driving test. QSafe is Queensland's current practical driving test, designed to evaluate a person's ability to drive safely and correctly in different driving situations. Examples of driving situations include roundabouts, intersections, one-way streets, and so on. It is a performance-based assessment as opposed to a competency-based assessment. The QSafe system has a set of criteria based on errors which are recorded by the assessor. If the learner gets too many errors of a certain type or certain types of errors, then they will be unsuccessful in their assessment. QSafe is based on performance checks. A performance check is an important aspect of the driving task that the examiner is required to assess, for example, signalling or road position. A driving examiner won't assess an applicant on an item outside the performance checks. For example, an applicant will not be asked by the driving assessor to conduct an under-the-bonnet inspection in the assessment, as it is not a performance check. Types of driving errors in the QSafe testing system. Critical driving errors. This is a driving error that compromises the safety of any road user or indicates an inappropriate level of skill or ability. If a critical driving error occurs, the test is terminated and the applicant is directed back to the testing centre by the shortest or safest possible route. Before marking a critical driving error, the following points will be considered by the examiner. There must be sufficient evidence collected to warrant a marking. The marking must be justifiable, that is, the driving error must be prominent and in accordance with QSafe performance checks and scoring criteria. In some cases, discretion may need to be exercised, that is, a critical driving error should not be marked where circumstances are unique or unusual that are beyond the control of the applicant. Non-critical driving errors. This is a driving error that does not by itself compromise safety to road users or the safe operation of the vehicle. Before marking a non-critical driving error, the following points must be considered. There must be sufficient evidence collected to warrant a mark. The driving error must be prominent and in accordance with QSafe performance check and scoring criteria. In some cases, discretion may need to be exercised. That is, a non-critical driving error should not be marked where circumstances are unique or unusual that are beyond the control of the applicant. Non-critical driving errors. A student is allowed no more than 8 non-critical driving errors. Accumulated non-critical driving errors never result in a critical driving error. General critical driving errors. These are special types of critical driving errors that are not directly related to any of the individual performance checks. If an applicant accrues a general critical driving error, the test is terminated and they are directed back to the testing centre by the shortest and safest possible route. The examiner is required to intervene either verbally, e.g. yell stop, or physically grab the steering wheel. Type 2 General Critical Driving Error. A test vehicle strikes another object, curb, sign, or power pole. Type 3 General Critical Driving Error. A dangerous situation is created by the applicant's driving, which results in another road user being forced to take evasive action to prevent a collision or any other danger. Type 4 General Critical Driving Error. An applicant disobeys direction from a police officer, school crossing supervisor, and/or authorised traffic controller. We have a type of error finally called Specific Repeated Driving Error, SRDE. An SRDE is marked when an applicant accrues 6 non-critical driving errors for a certain performance check. SRDEs can only be marked for a few of the performance checks such as clutch, steering, and observation and scanning. The test runs its full course even after the applicant has accrued 1 SRDE. However, the overall test result is considered unsuccessful. Examiner feedback. DE stands for Driving Examiner. Detailed written feedback is compulsory by the examiner after the test. Feedback given by the examiner after the assessment will be about the applicant's performance. Any driving errors made during the test must be explained verbally and supported with written comments. If the test is terminated for any reason, the examiner needs to explain why this occurred. Test feedback. Okay, so first of all, we've got stalling. The examples of the types of errors you can get for stalling. First of all, non-critical driving error stalls the vehicle. In that case, someone would secure the vehicle, start it up, and keep driving with the minimum of fuss. However, a critical driving error for a stall would be when the applicant stalls the engine in a situation that causes obstruction to the traffic and contributes to a dangerous situation. Finally, an SRDE, specific repeated driving error. This is when there's 6 non-critical driving errors. If a driver stalls 6 times, they get an SRDE and they will be unsuccessful in their driving assessment. Steering, example of errors. Non-critical driving error, does not steer a steady course. Critical driving error, loses control of the steering. And another example is removes both hands from the steering wheel whilst the vehicle is in motion. Examples of errors: braking. Non-critical driving errors causes the vehicle to pitch forward because of excessive or erratic brake operation. Critical driving error: heavy brake operation that causes the wheels of the vehicle to lock up and skid without being quickly corrected. Road position. Examples of errors: critical driving error, fails to stay within the confines of a lane, excluding situations where the applicant is unable to comply, for example, roadworks. CDE, example number 2, takes an inappropriate course while travelling straight ahead through a multi-lane roundabout, creating a hazardous or potentially hazardous situation. For more information, go to www.wattotraining.com.au, and if you haven't already considered subscribing to the Watto Training YouTube channel, thanks for visiting. This is Brendan Watson for Watto Training, RTO 40791.